Hey everybody, and welcome to what are we doing? February's Wine of the Month Club. I'm here again with the amazing Sam Doyle. Been getting great feedback in our chemistry. I'll never be seeing my best friend Brandon Warnicki ever again. Sam, I appreciate all the knowledge you've been bringing, and I think we should get right into the wine. So let's get into our first wine here. Take it away, Sam.
Sure. So this is the Colorai Pinot Grigio 2019. It got 96 points from Luca Moroni. And comes from the Alto Adige, which, from my opinion, of when it comes to white wine in Italy, I prefer all my white wines that aren't like these full-bodied, lush wines that come from Alto Adige. Higher acid, much cooler climate, and way more minerally style wines. But I think this Pinot Grigio, which is what kind of started off. I do the little blurbs at the top of the club, and this month was you're going to be surprised by complexities, is because I thought the Colorai really over delivers and really kind of just crushes the mentality of the taste nothing, smell nothing style of Pinot Grigios that a lot of people are used to.
You know, I think that's right. I think when you taste this wine, it's funny. I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, oh, he loved this wine. You know, you come from a training and a background, call it sommelier New York City life, where Riesling's high acid, complex, clove. I think I've always thought the white clove was like a flavor that always like tricked the Somm. When I would always do like Somm like hangouts in my career, I'd always bring clove-based white wines. I always thought it worked. And acacia flower, lemon peel. This is a really, really, I mean, I'll be frank, and you obviously, I had this once when we made, this is the single biggest wine commitment I've ever made in the history of Wine Library, my entire career. And when I had the first bottle, it blew me away. I'm having it I'm having it warm right now.
Me too. I'm actually just almost perfect cellar temperature I'm at right now.
And I like it even more.
Yeah.
This is
I drink all my wines this way.
Yeah, me too. I like this wine a little bit more than when I bought a gajillion cases of it.
Yeah. I just find that, I just like complex wines, and I want my brain to be a little bit confused and to actually think about the wine. And when you train to be a Somm and you blind taste, and the giveaway for Pinot Grigio, like I said, is taste nothing, smell nothing, feel nothing. And it's probably Pinot Grigio. And this is actually not even close to that.
Were you really pleasantly surprised when you had this?
Yeah. I mean, I actually love this wine.
I do too.
I mean, I rarely think of Pinot Grigio.
It's silky for Pinot Grigio. It's really good. Great. I think all of you are going to really love that wine. All right, this is a super fun wine. Let's go into this.
So this is Berryessa Gap 2017 Tempranillo. It comes from a place called Winters, California, which is in Yolo County. So in perspective, Napa Valley, a little bit closer to the coast. Yolo is inland, northeast Napa Valley, about an hour, which makes for a little less of that kind of coastal climate, which makes a more fruit-forward style wine. But when you pour it in, you notice like the color is a lot lighter than a lot of Tempranillos. And I just think that's the winemaker's choice to not overly macerate the wine, because he probably knew that the body of an inland Tempranillo is going to be lifted. And the wine is pretty full-bodied, and it has a lot of structure, and you can feel it. And I don't think it's overly fruity, and I think it just comes from 2017 was a very cool climate in California. I think it's got that kind of perfect balance.
It starts a little overly fruity for me, and then goes chocolate, tar, tobacco, right? It's like, it was funny. I literally was tasting it, and people probably saw it, got it into mouthfeel. When you said not overly fruited, I'm like, ooh, I might disagree. And then like literally as it tailed off, it comes in more fruit, and then it gets really savory on the finish.
Yeah, and I think it's still like the body definitely comes from that California ABV and that structure. But overall, the wine's pretty approachable. I don't think it's like overly tannic and not like aggressive like a lot of wines from inland can get.
I think a lot of, it's funny. I think people that enjoy dolcetto, like there's a lot of different flavors that went through my mind of like, oh, there's some people that are going to like this wine in general. Couple things, team. Big agenda for me on the Wine of the Month Club is to explore. I think a lot of you probably no different than Sam and I, for that matter, have written off Pinot Grigio. A once-in-a-generation Pinot Grigio comes across my world. I couldn't wait to get it into the Wine of the Month Club. This is like, for a lot of you, this is going to probably restart your curiosity of Pinot Grigio. Let me give you the preview. Be very thoughtful. There's 4 to 7 producers that I think you can get excited about. I think the see nothing, taste nothing reality that Sam was talking about is real. Number 2, go ahead, brother.
Sorry, I was going to say, I mean, I'll be honest, like outside of tasting wines for the store, like with reps, I probably haven't like myself gotten a Pinot Grigio in 6 to 7 years.
That's right. I wouldn't even consider it.
That's what that's
why I think I bought so much of it. Like literally, I'm not kidding everyone. Yeah. You might, if you're on part of Wine Text, you saw this as a winery direct. This is like the most cases of a wine I've ever bought. That's how much I think once it hits lips, what's going to happen. Now, I also thought COVID would be gone by now when I bought it and anticipated this flying by the hundreds of cases a month in the store, which might not happen this summer. But
that's okay though. It will though.
It's also complex enough for 2 to 3 vintages. Number 2, Tempranillo from California is unheard of. And again, I'm trying to push all of you to try new things. And I think it's going to be a wine that a lot of you are going to like. And what I love about it is I call it a hot dog wine. There was an incredible man who actually had a very big beard, similar to my good friend here, who passed away years ago by the name of Steve Verlin. Steve Verlin was one of the biggest wine collectors in the world, happened to live in Warren, New Jersey, and opened a restaurant in New York City when I was just a pup called Veritas, which was the most significant wine program opening in New York City history at the time. I learned a lot from him, mainly because he allowed me to taste wines that I still to this day have not drank. I would go to his house in Warren and open 1970 Vegas Cecilia Mags, and we'd have them with hot dogs. And there was this, he was a big guy, and he loved hot dogs. And I always say hot dog wine because I think it makes me think of him. There's wines that are just great with casual food, a burger, a Shake Shack, a slice of pizza on a Tuesday night. That's what this temp is going to do.
You're talking about my ultimate dream. If I had $1 million right now, I'd open a wine bar that serves chicken fingers, hot dogs, and burgers, but has the best wine list in 100 miles, and it would be mad fun. You know what I mean? It's just our generation. That's where we're heading.
Listen, that's something I want to talk to you about maybe. All right, let's move on.
So this is definitely my favorite wine of the 3. This is 2017 Mas de Bois-Lazan, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and there's a couple things that go into this wine that's special for me. One, they're one of the smallest producers in Châteauneuf. They only have 11 acres of CDP grapes.
Is that right?
In total. And that's with the reserve and everything.
That's insane. I didn't realize that small.
Acres. Yeah, really tiny. Number 2, I'm going to put Gary behind the ball, but I decanted mine an hour and 15 minutes ago. So I'm excited. I haven't tasted it yet, so I'm just pouring it. So the other cool thing was Jeb Dunnick went nuts for this wine. He gave it 95 points in 2017. And I looked back and I was like, man, I don't remember Mas de Bois-Lazan getting like that high of a score in 2016, which debatably is the best vintage since, you're talking 20 years.
98, probably since 98.
And his 2017 actually scored higher than his 2016 through Jeb Dunnick. He gave it a 94 in 2016 and a 95 in 2017, which to me just shows that this is a little bit of a diamond in the rough in a vintage that isn't clouded as high as 2016 So,
couple things. Dunnick is a very good wine critic. I've been around a long time.
My favorite, so.
Is he your guy?
Yeah.
I'm especially as we've been heavy into Wine Text, and I'm kind of like tasting a lot of stuff that he's scoring well. Like, I think he's very strong.
Mm-hmm.
This wine is ridiculously good.
Yeah. So the reason why I decanted it for so long is the wine's very young. Châteauneuf-du-Pape young can be very aggressive. So that air kind of lets it open up over time. Pop and pouring can be a little bit tannic and a little bit crazy. But right now so I forgot you moved the meeting to 6:45. So I actually decanted this at like 5:30. So it's been sitting and it's drinking unbelievably well right now. But this is also a wine, if you wanted to, don't touch it for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have the ability to like keep your hands off it, this wine is going to be sick.
If you have a 2017 meaningful event, child, wedding, engagement, promotion, anniversary, I agree with you. This has I mean, this is a wine you can drink in 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, you could, yeah.
By the way, I really love wines that have, and by the way, mine's a little aggressive. Like this attacked me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The alcohol's a little high.
Yeah, it's high.
The tannins are real. This is real, but to your point, I think you're having a better version. I think the people that have it 6 years from now with 4 hours of decanting have a better version.
Yep.
And I would argue that a nice bottle of wine for you and your husband, you and your wife, you and your partner in 21 years on your child's 21st birthday on this wine will slay. And I think a lot of people need to put a couple bottles for 21. I think 21st birthdays should have a lot more, even if the kid's not into wine, should have some wine from their birth year, because I just think it's a cool tradition.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Me and AJ, even though AJ is not like really into wine, your brother, 1987 globally is like considered one of the worst vintages of all time.
Outside of
there's not one.
You've seen the Wine Library TV where I open the Opus 1.
I make fun of him for it all the time. His hair is amazing. He's amazing. He's all beavered out.
He really is. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this month. I think you'd see Sam and I are really building a nice cadence together. We got exciting stuff. Sam, what's your email? Because a lot of people, if you want to follow up with Sam from a day-to-day standpoint, I think I had 1 or 2 friends say, hey, I like this new guys that's doing this with you. Yeah. Why don't you give out your email? Sure. Dustin, follow along. Maybe put it down here for a second.
Yeah, it's SDOYLE@winelibrary.com.
Yeah, so as Sam is kind of coming in here, and we'll throw it up, but it's not hard because you see his name on there, but I'm sure Dustin's almost done right now, and it'll pop up in a second. Hit up Sam. We're spending a lot of time on concierge life, so need a Pinot Noir for this, or need a case of wine for that, or a bottle for a client. He'll be your man. Sam, thank you so much for bringing a lot of value to this show. It allows me to really focus on really thinking about what I think about the wine instead of just educating, giving context. So thank you for that. It's great to see you. And we will see you in March, everyone.